Sports marketing is thought of as a fairly modern invention, when in fact sports marketing has been around for over 100 years. Sports marketing first came to be in the 1870s in the form of collectible cards that came with tobacco packets. These cards featured the baseball players of that era. The actual and considerable growth in sports marketing was observed over the following 70 years with the increase in television coverage of sports. In its initial days, sports marketing was only concerned with the placement of products and development of product quality. During the early 1980s, marketers began to use sports as one of their effective marketing tools. Michael Jordan first entered the NBA after leaving North Carolina University in 1984. He originally wanted to get a deal with Adidas, but he ended up signing a deal with Nike for an at the time unheard of sum. During Jordan's first season, and while Nike and Jordan were finalising the shoe that would become the first Air Jordan, he wore the long-forgotten Nike Airship. This is the shoe that the NBA banned. The reason for the banning was due to the NBA's uniformity of uniform rule, which states that shoes must match the colour of the uniform, the Chicago Bulls being red and white, but the shoes worn at the time were black and red with a little white. Each time Michael Jordan wore the shoes, or those colours, he was fined $5,000 by the NBA. Nike apparently paid the fines, though it is not specified how many times this happened or what the amount was. With the lead up to the release date of the shoes, Nike launched an advert taking the banning and using it to their advantage. The 1985 ad said, "On September 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them." This kind of gave the impression that the shoes gave Michael Jordan and anybody else that wore them an advantage over other players on the court, probably hinting at maybe, even though he was a great player, it was the shoes that gave him his airtime. The Nike Air Jordan was originally released to the public in March of 1985 for $65 a pair. By May of that same year, Nike had made around $70 million just from the Jordan shoe sales alone. Nancy Law, a professor at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, has said about sports marketing, "Certainly, it's not about getting sports people to talk about a product's benefits. It's more about the consumer's unconscious interpretation of what the sports person represents. With Jordan, it was summed up in Nike's line, 'Be like Mike,' and that notion in the Jumpman icon of transcending boundaries. Brands want to leverage their profile via the image of the athletes they endorse, so a likable image is important. If Roger Federer is showing me he wears Rolex, I might well like the brand because I like him, but under that there is still a deeper emotional connection to play. He is, after all, the greatest tennis player of all times, so maybe Rolex is the greatest watch too. It tends to work, but not always." By comparison, the biggest deal until Nike's deal with Jordan was James Worthy's deal with New Balance, worth $150,000 a year. Nike took a gamble with Jordan, which more than paid off. Other companies noticed this and realized the value of athletes being not just a name or a face for the product, but being an endorser, a wearer, a user, and maybe having input into the product. Fans would unconsciously follow and buy the products their sports heroes would endorse, but if it was something the athlete truly believed in, then more fans would buy. It also created an opportunity for athletes to negotiate and get longer contracts, and also to have something to fall back on after their careers ended. Though not everybody can be like Mike.